Earlier today, I had the chance to talk to Minister Pam Parsons about what's happening in the Rural Development Department. Here is our conversation.
Lots happening on the rural development front, perhaps some of the bigger stories surrounding some of the threats rural Newfoundland and Labrador are facing and rural Canada around forest fires, but to talk about potential investment announcements that are going to be made and to see what is happening with rural development, we're joined by the Minister of Rural Economic Development, Minister of Labour, and the Minister responsible for Workplace Newfoundland. And I may need to have a drink of water after saying all those titles. Pam Parsons, you got a lot of titles these days. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Yes, you're right. It's Rural Economic Development, Labour Division, Workplace NL. But before we get started, Tim, I certainly want to throw a hats off and a heartfelt thank you to all of our firefighters across the region here. Obviously, I'm in the region of Conception Bay North, where these fires are happening, just in the neighbouring district to me, and of course to the other side of me right now, currently in Holyrood. But as we know, this has been happening across the province this summer. We know last year Labrador was hit really hard. So a heartfelt thank you to those men and women who are out putting their lives on the line, battling the blazes, trying to keep our people and our communities safe. And we can't thank them enough. Without them, I can't imagine where we would be. But, so thank you for all that they're doing in this time of great need.
Well said. We just had before you David Phillips on from Environment Canada. Across Canada, over 750 fires burning. It is a worrisome time in many different places. One of the areas you now have responsibility with is rural development, certainly under Premier Fury, and you can tell me if it's the case under Premier Hogan. There was a desire to really try and find ways to inject and encourage and inspire even more development in rural Newfoundland and Labrador. How is that going?
Yeah, well, as you know, in this recent cabinet shuffle, when Premier Hogan, of course, took on the premiership, he actually created this portfolio, a standalone with rural economic development, of course, in the title, as we just talked about earlier. So it obviously is an important investment in our province. And that said, I've often said this, even through my capacity as MHA, we have all the ingredients, to have a superpower, ultimately, an abundant power here in our province with our mining, with our fishery. We know our fishery is a billion-dollar industry. Of course, our tourism, and obviously with hydro and with wind power coming on stream, and with this newly negotiated MOU that's currently being conducted, of course, trying to arrive at, a good MOU, memorandum of understanding, with the province of Quebec and how we can further develop the Upper Churchill. So I think, we have, and of course our people, you go anywhere around Canada or even across, the world really, and Newfoundlanders and Labradorians are met with great enthusiasm. That's been my experience. We're unique in this province. We're hard workers, and we're gifted with our musical talents in the arts. So there's so much to celebrate. There have been significant investments made in rural economic development, and this across government. I'm the Minister for Rural Economic Development, but it is the responsibility ultimately of the entire, across government. And of course our municipalities, they play a huge role in this, as well as our federal government. And I would like to commend Prime Minister Carney for making good on that promise. And of course, hats off to Premier Hogan for keeping his feet to the fire on cutting those stairs in half from Marine Atlantic. As was said, that he made that promise, or certainly a promise to look into it, and that certainly has happened, to break down trade barriers within our own beautiful country. So, for example, in transportation alone, we all know, and MHAs will hear this, I think roads and healthcare are probably the most important priorities that we hear people talk about. People want to travel on roads, and of course we need roads to get us, to the hospitals and to all of our different communities across, our province, and where the economic activity is happening. So more than $300 million has been invested over the past 2 years in rural areas for highway improvements alone. And my district, Tim, as you know, I am conveniently located. We are just about an hour from the capital city, but we are still considered rural. And we've got some good road work slated to happen here in Harbour Grace Portagrave District this construction season as well. So, of course, I'm always advocating for that. But that's a huge investment by government. Road infrastructure, as we know, is critical to social and economic economic well-being of the residents, communities, and businesses throughout our great province. And this year, of course, we announced $316 million for road construction projects as part of the unprecedented multi-year funding commitment of $1.4 billion over 5 years, and that was announced in 2023. Connectivity, Tim, we can all relate to that. And I mean, here in my district, there's spots and there's areas where we don't have, the connectivity, the cell phone service. Even driving to TransCanada, you'll notice that. But there has been a federal and provincial investment in close to $100 million, which has led to the high-speed internet being available in over 36,000 homes and in 350-plus rural, remote, and Indigenous communities. So we need better connectivity, which actually, as we know, would create new opportunities for business to compete locally and globally and develop a stronger workforce all around.
Pam, how? Look, I know you're going to be making some more announcement, I'm sure, before the election is called. How you've been on the side that I am asking the questions. So for the public that are listening or hearing the numbers and saying, "Wow, they sound important," I mean, what do you say to them about the commitment to making a difference in rural Newfoundland and Labrador? Because different parties have said that and tried, and there's all sorts of challenges to it. But what's your message to Newfoundlanders beyond the dollars and cents about what can be done in rural Newfoundland?
Well, I just had a recent visit to Fogo Island. It was my first time visiting Fogo Island. It's certainly a beautiful part of the province. And I visited some of the members of the Shorefast Foundation over there. And as you know, the difference that they're making, and as we know, decades ago when the co-op came into existence, these are local residents who are taking matters into their own hands, and they're starting with what works, with the assets, with the traditions, what they already have in place. So, it's about working together. It's about having these relationships. It's about the networking. And I got to say, I really enjoyed my visit there. I look forward to, again, speaking with the municipality of Fogo. We're going to set up a meeting to chat with them. But I look forward to getting around rural as much as I can, to have these conversations, again, while working with my colleagues. So it's, it's everybody's responsibility. We are all stakeholders in this great province, whether you're in private business, whether you're in, municipal level of government, or even volunteer organizations, and of course governments at all levels. It's our Newfoundland and Labrador, and it's about coming together. And something else, an important topic, I think, with rural economic development. We are an island, as we know. Agriculture is very important. Right? And I mean, so our programs and services reach, the rural communities where most Newfoundlanders and Labradorians, 500 farms are located. So that's another very important. And what we're seeing today, in today's world, should there be an emergency, we are an island. So it would be in our best interest to have food security, absolutely, all around.
Yeah, more independent, less interdependent, though. Interdependency all matters, particularly for rural communities, and we've seen that in different places. All right. Got to leave it there, Pam Parsons. Always a pleasure to talk with you. You have a great day.
Okay, Tim, you take good care, and, of course, to your listeners, let's be safe out there.